All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something a lot of you probably know all too well. We're going to explore that journey from running a business that feels like a total roller coaster to building something that feels like a real stable asset. We're going from volatility to equity.
So be honest for a second. When you look at your monthly earnings, does it feel predictable? Or does it look a lot more like a feast or famine situation, where one month you're on top of the world and the next you're scrambling? Yeah, this chart pretty much nails that feeling, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the income you hope for, the income you plan for. And then there's the reality, that jagged, unpredictable line. We're talking about monthly swings of 40%, sometimes even more. That's not just inconsistent, that's seriously draining.
And that volatility? It's really just the tip of the iceberg. The affiliate game is just filled with these hidden traps, these shark bites. You've got your commissions getting squeezed down to like a measly 3% in some cases. Then there's the nasty business of last-click fraud, where some coupon extension can literally hijack up to 15% of your earnings at the very last second. And of course, the big one, the algorithm penalty that can just wipe out almost half your content's value overnight. It leaves you totally dependent on platforms you have zero control over.
So, naturally, you try to fix it. Most affiliates get caught in what's called the velocity trap, just trying to churn out more and more stuff. But here's the problem. The old playbook, the old fixes, they just don't work anymore. Okay, so what's the first thing people usually try? The content fire hose, right? Just flood the zone. Use AI to pump out tons of reviews and articles. I mean, it seems to make sense. More content equals more chances to earn. But here's the twist. Search engines like Google got way smarter. They have these guidelines now called EEAT, which stands for Experience, Expertise, Authoritativeness, and Trustworthiness. And these rules basically penalize all that low-effort, generic content. They want to see proof of real, first-hand experience, and that AI article just isn't going to cut it. So, if the mass content strategy is out, what's next? Well, a lot of folks pivot to chasing those big, flashy, one-time commissions. You know the drill. Promote some high-payout offer and hope for a couple of big wins to carry the month. It's a tempting shortcut. But the thing is, your audience is smart. They can tell when you're just trying to sell them something versus actually trying to help them. Chasing those big payouts usually means pushing products that aren't a great fit, and that just burns the trust you've worked so hard to build. And the real irony? It does nothing to solve the actual problem. In fact, it just makes that feast or famine cycle even worse. And living in that cycle, man, it takes a serious toll. The source material for this explainer puts it in a way that just hits home. It says the mental load is like constant low-grade trauma. It's not just about the money, it's the burnout, it's the stress. It's almost impossible to think strategically when you're always just trying to survive. So this is the really crucial part. If any of this sounds familiar, it is not because you aren't working hard enough. The real problem is structural. The flaw is baked right into the foundation of the old affiliate model. And this slide lays it all out plain and simple. On the left, that's where most affiliates live. It's a traffic job. You're getting paid for one-off transactions, your business has zero valuation if you ever wanted to sell it, and you're completely dependent on other platforms. The goal is to get to the right side of this screen, to build a real business asset, one with recurring revenue, sellable equity, and true independence. And the stark reality, and this is a tough number to see, is that the game is basically unwinnable the way it's set up. It's estimated that around 95% of affiliates fail to ever build a sustainable business. They're treated like a replaceable cog in a machine, not a partner. Okay, but what if you could actually change the rules of the game? This is where we get to the turning point. The answer isn't some new tactic or hack. It's a fundamental structural shift from being a renter to becoming an owner. I'm going to say that one more time, because this is the single most important idea here. The solution is not about working harder. It's about changing the economic model itself. It's about moving from renting out your influence one click at a time to owning assets that generate value for years. So how does this shift actually work in practice? Let's break it down. First, instead of tiny, one-time payouts, you get 40% lifetime commissions. That directly solves the income volatility problem. Second, instead of just writing about things, you share actual, usable tools, what we're calling execution-based containers. This builds instant trust and satisfies what search engines are looking for. And third, something called dark GTM alignment, which basically means you share these valuable things in trusted channels, which protects you from that last-click fraud we talked about. Let's just double-click on that execution-based content idea, because it's a real game changer. This is the difference between writing a blog post about how to do something and actually giving your audience the tool to do it. It delivers a real outcome right away, and that creates these verifiable experience signals that both your audience and search engines absolutely love.
So what's the result of all this? Well, it's a completely new reality for affiliates. It's one where your work actually builds on itself. It creates a compounding advantage over time.
The new process is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You share a genuinely useful tool, a container. You earn a 40% lifetime commission on every single person who signs up through it. Your income then starts to compound month after month. And maybe the most important part, you are finally truly building a sellable asset.
And when we say lifetime, we really mean it. The customer retention for this model is proven at over 7 years. So this isn't some vague promise. It's a durable, long-term partnership that creates real value.
I mean, this chart just says it all. You've got your typical 3% from retail on one end, maybe a 20 to 30% one-time payout from a software company, and then you have this model, 40% lifetime. It's not just a little bit better, it's a completely different economic structure. Ultimately, it comes down to this really powerful shift in your own identity. You stop being a disposable, replaceable source of traffic for some other company. You become a vested partner. You have a real equity-like stake in the success of every customer you help.
So, the final question is pretty simple. Are you ready to turn all that influence you've built into a durable, sellable asset? Are you ready to stop renting and start owning? Because the path to do that is clearer than it's ever been.